This is the 25th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. In 1995, after the bombing, Oklahomans rushed in to provide whatever support they could, building neighborhood triage centers, providing food to fire and rescue crews, and extending a hand to those who were suffering. These acts of kindness gave us comfort and a sense of community during a very tough time. This became known as the Oklahoma Standard. As our way of honoring these acts of kindness, the Oklahoma City Dodgers Baseball Foundation will feature 25 people or organizations that exemplify the spirit of the Oklahoma Standard today. Our goal is to amplify their good works and inspire others. As Oklahomans adjust to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are encouraged and inspired by our neighbors doing good works.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited about this week's Act of Kindness. It's such a pleasure to bring you these stories week after week. And with me today is Robert Peterson. Robert Peterson is from Lawton, Oklahoma, and is an artist. I mean, just an amazing artist. You may have seen some of his work across Lawton. He's done some pretty impressive murals and also has just some great series of paintings. I mean, just some of the ones that I've seen, the buffalo come to mind. I love looking at all the colors that you use, Robert, and just think your story is one of the most amazing parts of your piece, because tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us how you started and a little bit more about you.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. As you said, my name is Robert Peterson, and I am an international contemporary artist based out of Lawton, Oklahoma. Currently, I have work that is represented in about 8 different galleries, from LA to, Venice Beach, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Miami, New York, Chicago, Italy, Australia. I may be missing some, but that's a roundabout. It's pretty good enough. I started painting about 8 years ago. It'll be 8 years ago in June 29th. On June 29th, I picked up a paintbrush for the first time after getting hurt at work while running on a treadmill. And about 8 months after I picked up the paintbrush, I was doing my first show in Soho, New York. I brought 34 pieces. Out of the 34, 31 sold in the first 4 hours of the opening of the show. And I decided I'm going to go ahead and pursue this art thing. And I've been chasing it ever since. I've done Art Basel, which is the largest art trade show in Miami. I've done that 6 out of the last 8 years. And I am the first African-American to be named Artist of the Year in Southwest Oklahoma. I'm also the first artist from Southwest Oklahoma to be named Artists of the Year for Art Basel Miami for Spectrum of 2017. So I've got a couple of awards that I'm super, super proud of and excited to bring back home to Lawton and to keep in Lawton. Other than that, I'd say my greatest accomplishment is being a husband to my beautiful wife and a father to my 3 kids. They are my inspiration, my motivation, and my reason for being who I am.
That's awesome. And I just, having watched your career over the last few years, I'll tell you, your work never ceases to amaze me. And I know Lawton is very proud of you. So COVID-19 happened, and everybody was pretty stir crazy.
Right.
Lots of things were changing really fast, and there was an element of fear in our communities across Oklahoma. And you decided to take on a special project, which is actually why we're recognizing you.
Thank you.
Your act of kindness. Can you tell us a little bit about that project?
Sure, of course. I think as an artist, it's our job to kind of capture the times that we live in, that we survive, that are current events. Looking around, reading the news every day, like a lot of people, you would wake up and automatically go to see what's new, how many new cases there are, how many new deaths, how many people have, recovered from COVID-19 and other things that were going on related to the virus itself. I got tired of that. And I felt like it was my job as an artist to try and lift the spirits of as many people as I could. And so what I decided to do is I used my social media platform to pick random people. I would have my son and my daughter, Joshua and Brianna, pick random followers of mine each day, 1 to 2 people. And what I would do is I'd reach out to that person and I would ask them if they wanted to be a part of this series of selecting random people to draw. This is the first time I had ever done this. A lot of the people who follow me, they know that I show in some of the largest art markets around the world. And so, I felt like them knowing that and them supporting my work, some of them for as long as I've been creating, it would give them a sense of hope and joy and happiness. And all that I asked of them was to go into their own photo album and find the picture of themselves that made them happy. Pictures of themselves that reminded them of times when they weren't on quarantine and in their homes, when they were out and about, whether it was on vacation or their favorite, restaurant or at a friend's house, a party, a beach or whatever it was that made them happy. And then I wanted them to send me that picture. And then what I would do within 24 hours is I would turn it into a piece of art, a random series. I called it, I call it a celebration of life, because in the pictures, people were living. They weren't worried about, being too close to somebody. They weren't worried about their loved one who was on a respirator, who may have been in a hospital. They didn't have enough respirators, or, a cough didn't scare them, where people were, shaking hands and hugging and laughing and playing and partying and just having a good time. So it was a celebration of life because people were living their best life during those pictures that they would send me. I mean, I did have a couple people who actually sent me pictures of them during the quarantine. And it was because they wanted to remember that moment, which was completely okay. And it played out well because people connected on both sides. You could tell because people were smiling and laughing and stuff like that in some of the pictures. And then you could see some of them were down or looked like they were just really in deep thought in others. And it seemed to grow. I initially wanted to do 10 people. But after looking at the response that I was getting, and I was getting emails and direct messages, people really loved it. And so I decided to just keep going. And so I kind of stepped away from my creating in my studio to just focus on doing these portraits of random people. And I think I ended up doing like 38 or 39 total in a little over a month. Some days I would knock out 2 to 3, and other days I would just do 1. And it was really beautiful because not only did it, it excite people and gave people hope, because nobody knew who would get picked each day. Not even I knew. It was like I would send my daughter a text like, okay, go ahead and pick somebody. And then I'd find out, and then that person would find out. And so it was like, yay, I got picked, and I was like, yeah, you got picked. I was just as excited as they were, and it took my mind off of things, and it allowed me to focus on creating something more positive, than the people dying and the people being affected. I have a few people that I did reach out to, and they had loved ones, that had the virus. One of my friends actually said, I think he said that his grandfather passed away in Brooklyn. He lives in Montclair, New Jersey, and his grandfather's in Brooklyn. I want to say he said his grandfather died, and they said it was because of COVID-19. So, I mean, it was good in that it took a lot of our minds off things and kind of, changed the way we would wake up each morning, because people were, instead of looking to the news, they were looking for their direct message inbox, trying to see if they were picked. So I think that it served its purpose. And, I'm super excited with how it all turned out, because none of it was planned. I didn't know how many I would do other than the first 10. I didn't know what I would end up doing with it. I ended up getting picked up by a gallery in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'll be doing a show. I think it's August 11th of 2020. And I'm going to have all 39 pieces of art framed, and we're going to show all 39 together, just so that people will be able to celebrate life, and the fact that we're back up. I mean, we're still doing social distancing, and I think a lot of us are more aware of our surroundings and trying to make sure that we respect each other's space and stay, clean and stuff like that. But I think it'll be good, a good space, a good place for people to come and just enjoy each other.
How did it affect the kids? Did they really look forward to getting to pick up that art every morning? Did it give them something positive to look forward to each day too?
Yeah, there was a couple times where they would like kind of go back and forth, like, well, no, it's my turn. You picked yesterday. Well, it's my turn, blah, blah, blah. And so, I thought that was kind of fun because it gave them something to look forward to. Like they would text or Dad, are you ready? If I didn't tell them, early enough to pick somebody, they, kind of remind me. And then what I ended up doing was I ended up giving them the job of picking a picture of each other because I felt like they too needed to have an escape from everything that was going on. And so they began searching for pictures of each other. I didn't let them pick their own. I let them pick each other. So Joshua picked Brianna's and Brianna picked Joshua's. And then the way that I actually ended the series was when Marina went to work, I found a picture of her and did a picture of her. And that was the very last piece to round off the entire collection was the picture of my wife. So I think that it was good for a lot of people and it was really good for our family, because we all came together. I mean, even the kids and my wife would get excited about seeing the finished piece at the end of the day because I tended to post it for the most part, 8:30, 9 o'clock every night. I was posting something. And that's because it would take me all day. And like, I would try to have the kids pick it out by 10 and then have the people send it to me within 2 hours. And then I would just get in on drawing it and creating the art. So the goal was to try and have it done within, my personal goal was 12 hours, but I told everybody 24.
Well, it's a project that had a lot of layers and really helped a lot of people kind of get through a dark and difficult time with a little bit of light and a lot of color. So
right.
I appreciate that you did that. And it's been a really fun project to watch from my perspective as well. Part of why we recognize people and their acts of kindness, is to hopefully encourage a ripple effect and make sure that, folks feel encouraged that if they feel called to do something to help someone, that they have the motivation and the encouragement to do so. And so what would you tell somebody at home who's watching this and is like, I'm not an artist, but I really want to help people? What would you tell them?
I mean, one thing outside of work that I think that I was led to do that it seems was appreciated, and then also that happened for me, was just simply a phone call or a text, checking on people, letting them know that you're thinking about them, asking if they're okay, if there's anything they need. Because, you never know. I mean, some people could just need something as simple as a case of water, and I mean, $5, that could change somebody's whole week. It doesn't take much. Just letting people know that you're there for them, letting them know that you care about them, letting them know that they are being thought of, because a lot of people feel isolated. They feel alone. They feel like nobody cares. They feel like the world doesn't care. Like, why is this happening? It feels like the world is falling apart. And for some, their world is falling apart because they are losing loved ones. So I think that's something major that you can do that doesn't really cost anything. Just a text or a phone call or an email and say, hey, you're on my mind. Because the world stood still, it was bad, but I also thought it was a great opportunity for people to connect like that. Because oftentimes we get so caught up in our day and our lives that we don't take the time out to think about others. And so that was one thing. Another thing is, like, we did some cleaning, and then we donated a lot of clothes to the Salvation Army, because the Salvation Army does provide clothing, for the less fortunate people. And in times like this, I think that it's great to clean your house, but it's also great to be a blessing. We try to give back as much as possible through donating clothes to Salvation Army, donating to like United Way or like food pantries. And the clothing, like other places, like there are shelters that you can donate to as well. Just anything that you think that you can do to be kind, or that you wouldn't mind somebody doing for you, if you have the means to do it, do it. You know, don't even think about it, just do it.
I agree. It's like those Nikes you like to wear, huh? Just do
Say
it.
what?
It's like Nike, just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah, just do it.
If people want to learn more about your art, Robert, and what events you have coming up, you referenced the art show in Tulsa in August.
Yes, ma'am.
Where can they go to learn more about you and what you do?
I think the best two places to go would be to go to Instagram. You can find my work on Instagram at Caleb Lee 81, CALEB LEE 81. Or if you go into my website, it's on both of those. And then my website has links to like my Facebook, I think my Twitter and Instagram as well. And that's caleblee81.com. Everything, I promote all of my shows through social media. I post all of my new work, majority of my work. I'd say probably about 85% of my new work on social media. And usually if it hits there, it'll hit my website. And then occasionally there's times when I post work on my website that doesn't hit social media. But everything that is on social media is on my website. And those are the best two ways to see my work and to be able to contact me.
Wonderful. Well, we really appreciate everything that you're doing for your community. I know you donate a lot of art to causes and to help support education for kids. And it's always fascinating to see how you find new ways to give back. And this project was certainly one of those. And so thank you very much for joining us today and for listening to all the great work that Robert is doing in the Lawton, Oklahoma, actually worldwide, international arena as well. And so thank you so much for joining us today. And until we can see you all at the ballpark, we hope you have a great day.